my plan is to get people to understand if we don't act, things will get worse. That is really powerful, right? Because things are bad now, but people are willing to accept it because they think it's temporary and they think things will get better. If people were aware simultaneously that things will get worse, which they will, and that it's fixable, which it is, they would demand action. For me, change is still the goal, but it's a long-term goal. Because I think, you know, what I want to do, what I'm trying to do, is a big thing. It's difficult. It's not easy. It's not just something you're going to go out there and you're going to achieve. Like, it's, you know, the situation is really, really bad. And it's a situation which is enriching most powerful people in the world, right? So a lot of them want it to continue. And there are some rich and powerful people who are saying we need to reduce inequality, we need to do something about it. But most people, most rich people, feel they're benefiting from it, right? So if you're trying to do something which most rich and powerful people oppose, it's difficult, right? So for me, I want to achieve change, but I know that that is a massive task, and we will only achieve that if we have long-term thinking. So I guess now is a good time to talk about a question we've got getting a lot on the channel recently, which is, what can we do? What can I do? And for me, I think it's really important that people understand we cannot win this fight in the short term. It's too big, it's too difficult. And me, personally, I'm not thinking short term because I don't think we can win this short term. I think that, but I do think we can win it. And I think the way that we can win it is by spreading the message that if nothing is done about growing inequality and growing inequality of wealth, things will get really seriously worse, not just for the poor, but for 70, 80, 90%, relatively quickly. And the power of that message is that it's true. And I remember when we first started this channel, which was around about the same time I first started writing articles. I remember my second ever published article, which was for the website Open Democracy. They called me up and they were like, your first article was really good, do you want to write a second one? And I said, what I want to do is just make a list of predictions. Just a list of predictions. And partly that was because my professional history as a trader is making predictions. Making predictions which people don't think are right, but will turn out to be right. That's how you make money as a trader. So as a trader, all I was trying to do was think, what is actually going to happen that people don't realize? And you know, all those predictions were terrible things. Massive increase in inequality, massive increase in house prices, massive increase in inflation, massive decrease in living standards, right? But the reason I wanted to make those predictions is because there's a power in being right that you can only get from understanding the truth. If your arguments are wrong, then your predictions will be wrong. But the power that we have is that this generates correct predictions. So these things that I say are gonna happen, they will happen. So if we keep going out there and making these predictions and saying, look, this will happen, this will happen, this will happen, this will happen, specific things, like I'm saying now, house prices are going to go through the roof, you know what I mean, and living standards will continue to fall, these kinds of things. You know, people can go out now and look at video from 2.5 years ago of me basically saying everything that's happened has happened. That's powerful. You see what I'm saying? That's the strength of the message. The strength of the message is that it's right. The weakness of the message and the trouble we're going to have is it's fucking bleak message, right? It's a bleak message. And people don't want to believe that society is headed into a disaster, an explosion in poverty. you know, a collapse in living standards. People don't want to believe that, you know. I don't want to believe that, you know what I mean? So that is what we have to fight against. And I think the way that we fight against that is we have to, first of all, we have to speak with compassion all the time. And we have to speak with an awareness that other people are getting hit more than us. And, you know, you said yourself, you came into this channel because you're aware you're in a much better situation than others, you know what I mean? And I'm always aware of that, you know. So we have to be compassionate when we speak and understand that people are struggling. But on top of that, we need to provide this positivity of message, which is if we do something about this wealth inequality, if we manage to reverse that motion of increasing wealth inequality and start driving wealth in the other direction, we can really see living standards and quality of living improve. And I think that is 100% true as well. So we need to combine it with that positive message. And I think that's probably something that we haven't done enough, that I haven't done enough to provide that positivity on the side. And I think that's partially because it's hard for me personally. You know, this is something which, you know, I've gone around for 12, 13 years now, betting that society's going to go to shit, you know what I mean? And being right and making millions of pounds doing that. And, you know, people can point at me and say, well, that's great for you, but you know what I mean? I've known since I was in my mid-20s that society is, you know, is collapsing. And I have to carry that around, you know what I mean? You know, it's not dinner party conversation, you know. You go on a date and people say, what's your job? And, you know, and they what do you do? What do you think? You know, and you're going to tell them, well, what I think is poverty is going to explode. The middle class is going to disappear. There's going to be, you know, living standards will collapse. You know, you want to tell somebody that this is a thing I have to carry around with me. So I think that sometimes that's a difficult burden for me to carry, and maybe I want to share that, but like, we need to be able to find some hope and some positivity to bring people in. But I think at the same time, what I would say to the people who are saying, what can I do, what can I do, what can I do, is firstly, that I'm mad grateful for the support that these people provide. Ultimately, like, my plan is to try and make my voice as big as possible and this platform as big as possible so that we can have power to force politicians to act. That's my plan. So my plan is 100% dependent on the support of the people who watch and people who watch sharing and helping it to grow. So we absolutely 100% need them. They are the whole plan. And I appreciate that they want to help now. But what I need to tell them is we are not strong enough to win this now. We are not strong enough to win this now. And I'm not planning to win this today. I'm not planning to win this tomorrow. I'm not planning to win this next year. I'm not planning to win this the year after. This is going to be a massive fight. A massive fight. And I'm thinking long term. So really, that's why all I'm thinking about is growth. Grow the voice. Grow the power. Grow the message, you know. And, you know, I'm writing this book because I think that's going to give us growth down the line. And that's taking me away from being able to promote the YouTube as much as I would like to. But ultimately, I'm not trying to be big next month. I'm trying to be big in 5 years' time. You know what I mean? Because I want to be big enough that I can force these politicians to do something. So I know there's people out there want to do something now, and, you know, it's frustrating for me that all I can really say is, look, push us, help us to grow. You know, I wish I could give more. And, you know, there are people, you know, there's this guy's made a song for us, you know what I mean? And I would love to be able to support and push that. I appreciate this stuff that people are doing, man. Really, I appreciate it. But there's only so much I can do to support other people at the moment. I'm trying to grow it, you know what I mean? I've got to write this book. I'm writing the book every day. We're making the videos. So what I would beg for people watching is support us. Be patient. We're building this. This is a long-term project. And I know, like, if we had time, if we had energy, we would do a meetup, we would do a rally, this kind of stuff. But ultimately, like, this is about power. This is about power, you know, and the only way we have power to force change is to build, is to grow more people, long term. So yeah, that is the strategy, and at the moment, I'm not even really able to even reply to all the messages, right? But it's the reason that I keep emphasizing when people ask community is because ultimately my plan is to get people to understand if we don't act, things will get worse. That is really powerful, right? Because things are bad now, but people are willing to accept it because they think it's temporary, they think things will get better. If people were aware simultaneously that things will get worse, which they will, and that it's fixable, which it is, they would demand action. So I think this single message, that wealth inequality, if it is allowed to get worse, will make people's lives worse and worse. That message can take the whole thing down, because if people knew that, they wouldn't accept it. But the way we disseminate that message is by spreading this message and this channel through people's links of community. You know, I don't have enough money to build a social movement with my money. What we have is a message, and I am depending upon ordinary people to spread it through their links of community. You see what I'm saying? So I need people to be together, because that is how we build the power. And I see in things like, for example, the way the government is allowing the strikes to go on, that many people, what they want is to create division amongst ordinary working class people. Because if people in the private sector are hating people in the public sector, people who are not striking are hating people who are striking, then we can't come together and we can't build this positive message. So I wish I could do more, and once the book is done, we will sit down and we will think about how can we better utilize the people we want to support, and how can we better help them spread the message. But at the moment, it's just me and you, and our resources are limited, but we will grow it. We will grow it. But at the moment, because I'm prioritizing that medium long-term growth, it means I'm taking away a little bit from the short-term growth. But I honestly think we've got a shot to create change. But I think the people watching need to, we live in a now culture, right? People, this is not Celebrity Big Brother. You don't watch it for 10 weeks and then I get famous. You know what I mean? It's not how it works, right? This is a big project. But, right now we got 50, 60,000 subs. If we have 1 million subs, then we can start making shit happen. But we need to get there. You know what I mean? 100,000, 200,000 subs is not enough. So we need to get that growth, and then we can make it a movement. And then there'll be money coming in, and then we can hire people to help us grow even more. You know what I mean? But that's how it has to be, man. We have to be looking for long-term growth. We have to be looking for long-term growth, because we will not win this in the short term. We will not win this in the short term. And that is a bleak message, but we're going to have some bleak times, man. We're going to have some bleak years. And that is the other reason why I tell people to focus on community, because it's, you can see it right now, right? You can see it in the increase in long-term illness, in the increase in mental illness, man. Things are tough. Things are going to get tougher. And if we, they can take our money away from us, and they can make our lives more materially insecure. And I'm aware that it's not happening to me. I'm aware that I'm comfortable. But that is what is going to happen to ordinary people. But what they can't take away is your connections with your friends and your families and your community. So I think these are the things that people are going to need. Number one, to fight back politically in the long term. And number two, just to make life livable, man. That is what people are going to need. So I think people need to fight back against the division and try and communicate with one another with compassion. And I know that's difficult. And in terms of supporting us, man, just keep doing what you're doing. Spread the message, share it around. I wish I could give you more things to do. And I see people post, call into LBC, get on the TV, whatever you can. Just spread the word. But also be aware, this is a long-term fight. So don't burn yourself out. Hold yourself in, help us grow. We're going to grow, and then when we're big enough, if we ever get there, then we will try to make change happen. But we don't want to shoot the load too early, man. We're building for power so we can get change. That's the plan. Housing could be so much more affordable, wages could be so much higher, and we could have so many more options in how we live our lives. Some of them put a lot of money into paying economists and think tanks to tell you that inequality is important for the economy. That is not true.